The Berenstain Bears.
We are the Berenstain Bears.
Mama!
Papa!
Sister! Brother!
We appreciate each other.
We live in a split level tree.
Mama, Papa, sister, and me. Snug as buds in our split level tree.
Here are more Berenstain Bears.
Factual.
Big Boy Bear.
Professor Owl. Oh, gee, honey bun. I'm the mayor.
And lots more.
Bears galore!
You may think that this starts our show.
I know it sounds like a happy family. Welcome to Saturday. I'm Brian, and this is Brian's Beat. It is the only show born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. I'm looking outside, a whole bunch of clouds upstairs. And it's going to be one of those days, I believe, we're going to have some rain in the forecast, and fall is in the air. It's still summertime, but fall is in the air. ABC told you what they wanted you to know. Now I'm going to tell you what I want you to know. After losing 5 in a row, the Red Sox beat the lowly Chicago White Sox last night 3-1. How low are the White Sox? The worst team in Major League Baseball. Same two teams tonight at Fenway. Patriots. I don't know what to expect from the Patriots this year. They begin their season tomorrow afternoon in Cincinnati. What else? Oh, we have 109 shopping days before Christmas. Just what the doctor ordered. Mayor Mitchell is pushing for better internet options. Another sign schools are definitely open. 5 are dead after 2 shootings, a kid accused of bringing a gun to a Massachusetts school, and a high school football game called off last night because of a threat. What's worse? More than 2,100 COVID cases last week, or 7,900 Bay Staters filing a first-time unemployment claim. Creating thousands of jobs. The Healy administration pushing more offshore wind projects for New Bedford. The early odds are in. John Deaton gets beaten by Elizabeth Warren. Should tipped employees, we're talking about restaurant servers, should they be paid a minimum wage plus tips? More after the Brian's Beat quote of the day. Aha! Paint. Jim explains in his Town Square Sunday preview. The Bitcoin Biz Barometer, next half hour. Monthly VRX brings us the Brian's Beat quote of the day after we learn just a little bit more about today, September 7th, 2024. It's Aunt's Day. It only stands to reason we've had the Brother and Sister Day. Only stands to reason that it would be Aunt's Day. So to all the aunties out there, happy day. Google Commemoration Day. Google is one of those companies that's highly despised. Hard to believe that there's a commemoration for Google, but apparently there is. Either that or I'm making it up. Your choice. Grandma Moses Day. The only person that I know that would imitate Grandma Moses was Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. Grandma Moses Day. It's also International Vulture Awareness Day. Don't ask me why. Just is. It's also Acorn Squash Day. Now, I do like a good acorn squash. I'm not quite sure that I would think that, well, let's make it an Acorn Squash Day. But it's here. It's also National Attention Deficit. Just call it ADD Day. That's what it is today. ADDD. ADDD. National Attention Deficit Disorder Day. It's also National Beer Lovers Day. And to us guys and gals, do you have a favorite beer? I was with one of my former college roommates over the week. We actually had a little bite to eat over at the Bayside. But we were talking about beer. He has been a Budweiser man since I knew him back in college. But I have to think, what's Brian's favorite beer? And I think it comes down to a couple. One would be the former, not what Moosehead is today, but the former Moosehead. And the other one would be a Maxon Stout, which, if some people might say a stout isn't a beer, but it qualifies as long as it's just chilled a little. Do you have a favorite beer or stout? I know a lot of people like Guinness. What about that Yingling or what? No, thank you. And none of these beers that have an orange in it or a Corona with the lime on. No. But if you like it like that, you do. 508-996-0500. It is that Saturday when we say, go on and clean out your garage. It's Clean Out Garage Day. Are you feeling the love? It's Feeling the Love Day, or Feel the Love Day. Grateful Patient Day. Now, when I wrote that up a few days ago, I was thinking to myself, Grateful Dead Day. No, Grateful Patient. The dead, they were patients quite a few times at clinics, but Grateful Patient Day. Hummingbird Day. It's not really going to be a good day for this, but it is National Tailgating Day. I guess if you're not around here, Boston College has their home opener up at the Heights today. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a great day for tailgating. Rain is in the forecast, but it is National Tailgating Day. Neither snow nor rain day. Why, oh, why is it Salami Day? I don't know, but it's Salami Day. It's also No, it's not soup. It's Super Human Day. Salami Day, Superhuman Day, and World Beard Day. For no apparent reason, Mormon settlers on this date in 1857 slaughtered members of a peaceful immigrant wagon train. 1857, September 7th. No apparent reason. I always thought Mormons were the peaceful type. Guess, at least this group, I guess not. On this date in 1921, the very first Miss America beauty pageant. There she is. And it did take place in New Jersey. The Pro Football Hall of Fame opened on this date in 1963 in Canton, Ohio. 17 charter members. None of them named Brady or Belichick. I remember this like it was yesterday. To avoid bankruptcy, Chrysler begs the federal government for a $1.5 billion bailout. 1979. And the government gave it to them. Whew. Well, not to be outdone, and talk about a mortgage marriage made in hell, our tax dollars again, this time used to help the feds take over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Feeling the love? I know this person isn't. Monthly Fee RX brings us the Brian's B quote of the day. If you're spending less than $20 a month for prescription drugs, great. If not, then our Monthly Fee RX service might be a good option for you. Check for yourself at monthlyfeerx.com. And the Brian's B quote of the day: we're not nearly as violent as the Westerns. That quote from Mo Howard from the Three Stooges. There was a time, I was explaining this to woman friend, there was a time in the 1960s when the Three Stooges were taken off of television. And they were taken off of TV because of their slapstick being deemed too violent. And Mo Howard responded by saying, hey, we're not nearly as violent as the Westerns. And think about that now. Think about some of the Westerns that we have watched on TV, Lawman and on the Grit Channel. I mean, some of these Westerns are pretty bad. And, speaking for myself, I won't speak for you. But did you at any particular time think that Native Americans actually went around and they would scalp people? That's what I got out of the Westerns. I still like watching a Western. But man, that's some pretty powerful programming right there. Okay, 508-996-0500 is how you get onto the program today. I brought this up earlier. We had the school shooting, I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday in Georgia, where 4 people were killed, 2 students and 2 staff members. Yesterday, a shooting in Maryland outside of Baltimore where a student was shot dead. And did you hear what happened here in Massachusetts yesterday? Dover Sherburne was supposed to be playing a football game. I believe that game was at Dedham High School. And that game got canceled because somebody called up one of the schools on the phone and made a threat that they were going to shoot up the place. Now, there hasn't been any confirmation that any type of event like this was going to happen, but out of an abundance of safety, it was deemed that the game would be canceled and made up at a different time. I'm tossed. I get the safety element. I really do. But if there's no credible evidence, why not go forward with the game? On the other side, what if something, that's true. What if something happens? But as Ben Franklin said, if you're going to give up your freedom for a little bit of safety, chances are you're not going to get either. So I'm not against what the school officials did. It seems to be what they are going to do. Again, the police have come out and stated that there doesn't seem to be any validity to the claim. But at least they didn't play. And, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's where we are. That was September 6th. Today is September 7th, 2024. But over the past couple of days, you have Georgia. You had Maryland yesterday. It may have just been some kind of prank. But again, what are you going to do? Waltham. This happened, I believe, on Wednesday. Don't quote me on the day, but I believe it was Wednesday. A teenager is accused of bringing a BB gun manufactured to look like a Glock to a Waltham school, and it was on Thursday. The 17-year-old student allegedly brought the gun to Waltham High. The teen was removed from the school, placed under arrest. Hey, I get it. If you're 17 years old, you don't know any better. You don't know any better than, even if it's something manufactured to look like a Glock. You don't know in this day and age that you should not be bringing a gun to school. So I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for this kid. I really don't feel sorry for him. He should know better. And please, I know folks are going to sit there and they're going to say, it's the parents. The story out of Georgia. The father faces second-degree murder charges. He gave the gun to his son. There is nothing that I've seen so far, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's nothing that I've seen or read thus far that says that the father made that gun available for the son to use at his beck and call. You know, I just don't know that to be true. The father made a statement saying that that gun was locked and put away. But the father is facing second-degree murder charges. Good idea, bad idea. Dover Sherburne at Dedham, varsity high school football game scheduled for last evening, postponed after Dedham High received a threat of violence from nobody really knows who made that call. According to a press release signed by Dedham Public Schools Superintendent Nan Murphy and the Dedham Police Chief, the caller reported a rumor that a student was going to shoot up the football game today. No other details provided. New Bedford has a home opener today. I certainly hope that things are peaceful, that the game goes as scheduled, and there's no fooling around. But they're playing Taunton. They're playing Taunton, so look, just go out there and have a good time and enjoy the game, weather permitting. 508-996-0500. I hope we don't get to a point where the MIAA decides, well, we're just going to cancel the football season. Up. Jim is going to be telling us about Town Square Sunday in just a little bit, and the Bitcoin Biz Barometer coming up next half hour. I don't know about you, but I do like my options. And at WBSM, we have an option for you tomorrow. Option number one. And if I may add, my preferred option. Patriots football. We start with the pregame at 10 a.m. and then kickoff 1 p.m. Patriots against the Bengals. Now, here's that option. You're going to be able to hear it on the radio, 99.5 FM or AM 1420. If you prefer our regular programming, in other words, maybe you don't want to listen to the football game, you can go to the WBSM app or online at WBSM.com to listen to our regular programming throughout the day, even before 10 a.m. when the pregame starts, even after the Patriots game, when we have 3 hours of postgame for you. But we do have we've got Patriots football back starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. 508-996-0500. For the longest time, I tried to figure out exactly what to do about my internet and cable television programming. And I experimented with a lot of things. Well, it seems that the Mitchell administration is now pushing for better internet options for New Bedford residents. What that is going to entail, I really don't know. But according to a release that came out yesterday, Mayor Mitchell announced the completion of a comprehensive study by telecom experts that explores the city's options for bringing a fiber optic network to New Bedford residents, businesses, and students. Now, my just blatant thought here is just open up the doors so other companies have a chance to compete against Xfinity. You know, here, according to the release, 69% of respondents to a survey. Were you one of these? I don't know, I think 3,000 or so people that were surveyed. 69% of respondents to a survey included in this study reported paying more than $100 a month. And I would agree, whether you're talking cable TV bundled with telephone and the internet as a package, or just the internet in and of itself, that's a lot of money. Part of the reason is there's no competition. No real competition. So I say, let's bring in some competition. And not just New Bedford. You know, I begin to wonder when you see towns and cities deciding, well, we need to open this up. You should have opened it up a long time ago. Now, I understand that there's an infrastructure that goes with cable. Well, the other companies that want to piggyback, they can either use that system and pay a fee to Xfinity in this particular case for that right, or they can come up and dig their own lines. But there should be competition. Does anybody disagree with that? There should be competition when it comes to internet and that kind of service. You know, here's the story, and sometimes I feel like we should be crying about this, but no, we shouldn't. We should be looking at the politicians and saying, why are you stifling this? Why do you have these long contracts that basically, you know, keep other folks out? I don't know if Fios is better or worse than what Xfinity has to offer, but I do know this. I don't have the option to get Fios. I think that the television programming that I have right now, woman friend, she might want to debate some of this, but some of the programming that I have available to me right now is much more cost effective than the Xfinity package. And I certainly would like faster internet speeds. But how do you go about getting that without being able to put a satellite up there at cost prohibitive prices? But at any rate, I suppose we should be thankful to the Mitchell administration for at least doing this comprehensive study in order to come to the conclusion that, hey, folks aren't getting fast enough internet and they're paying a whole bunch of money for what they are getting. I think, you know, didn't Brian Gomes, Councilor Gomes, wasn't he looking into this a little while ago? Councilor Gomes, if you're listening, I believe, I might have that wrong, but I believe you were at a particular time looking at trying to change up what's going on, at least with Xfinity. New Bedford residents have bills that are too high and internet speeds that are too low, says Mayor Mitchell. This study puts us in a much better upfront position to attract much needed competition in the market. Hello. Mayor Mitchell, you've been around for quite a few years now, and I know that you and your surrogates listen to this radio station, and people have been complaining ad nauseum about the lack of options when it comes to internet and cable programming. Maybe this is a good first step. I hope so. I just don't know. You know, it's great to go out and I didn't see anything in here that told me how much this study cost and who paid for it. Our analysis, supported by data collected from over 3,000 middle school students' devices, reveals significant disparities in internet access that impact both educational opportunities and broader socioeconomic equity. So here we go again with that equity, according to the study. New Bedford needed to see an increase of 361% to its average download speeds and a 761% increase in average upload speed to meet FCC standards. Is it like this in the other cities and towns, or do we just think, look what's happening to the folks in New Bedford? Here's another bullet point for you. Families experiencing poverty were more likely to have slower internet service than others. Really? So this is the comprehensive study. It's not just about high-speed internet. It's who can afford high-speed internet. And my guess is somewhere in this comprehensive study, the people were asked, what's your salary range or income range or something along those lines? Where do you live? So I don't know, is it just about a lack of internet speed, or who has access to the internet speed? And this is supposed to be far-reaching. New Bedford residents, businesses, and students. When I hear students, I can't help but think tax dollars. Is this, if you live in the city of New Bedford, is this something that you think is worthy of your tax dollars going in this particular direction? Love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm thinking about this right now and not thinking about it as a person that's in New Bedford, but as a person in Dartmouth. I would seriously have to contemplate if I think that there needs to be more high-speed internet for the students, because folks can get it at home. Folks can get it at home. If you make it accessible, we don't have to worry so much about what's happening within the framework of the schools. And businesses too. Xfinity has a higher rate for businesses than they do for residential service. If businesses think that they need this high-speed internet, if they want cable television at their place, like we've got cable TV here, and the company pays for it, they know that the on-air talent at both radio stations, they know the necessity. They know that we need high-speed internet service, and we pay for it. 508-996-0500. Glad to hear your thoughts on this. Also want to hear from Jim Phillips, who's in Studio 6 and 7/8 with an update on tomorrow's Town Square Sunday. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Phillips. Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. Rich Tabor joins me to discuss the 50th anniversary weekend of the Descendants of Whaling Masters. That's coming up September 12th through the 15th. We'll also hear from Kim Goddard, the executive director of AHA Night in downtown New Bedford. That organization celebrating its 25th birthday on September 12th with a full slate of fun events downtown. And Pauline Santos of the Dartmouth Cultural Center returns with a schedule of events for September and October, including the Wet Paint Paid Nearham competition on September 21st. So join me for Town Square Sunday, Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
Not quite sure about that 11 o'clock one. I think that Patriots football might interject in that particular case. It's time for the Bitcoin Biz Barometer, where we measure the universal crypto marketplace. Things are not looking good on the crypto side of the ledger, but at the same time, if you are following the stock market, things aren't too great over there either. Bitcoin down $4,897 from last week at this time, coming in at $54,302. Ethereum, $2,280, down $243. Binance Coin at $483, down $53. Solana at $127, that's down $10. XRP 52 cents, down 4 cents. Dogecoin is down a penny at 9 cents. Tron down a penny at 14 cents. And that's your Bitcoin Biz Barometer for today, September 7th, 2024. As always, I get my numbers from CoinMarketCap.com. Well, I listened to Jim, and I actually saw something in one of the papers. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one. But AHA Night, celebrating 25 years this coming Saturday. This coming Thursday. And I have been kicking myself and thinking, that means it started in 1999. Whew. I've only gone to a couple of AHA nights. And, of course, as a cab driver, I drove by numerous AHA nights. But I think I've only gone to 3 or 4 AHA nights where I've actually gone down there to downtown New Bedford to experience AHA Night. 25 years, though. That's a milestone. That indeed is a record. I'm not sure that I'm going to be heading down there this coming Thursday. I think they're not trying to put it off, not trying to make something up. I think that there is something else built into my schedule this coming Thursday that I need to be taken care of. All right, let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. Hello.
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 I only called because I want to know what you're doing Thursday.
I'm dropping woman friend off at the airport. Is that good enough?
Oh, well, that's good. That's good enough.
That's a good start.
I'm interested in you, Brian.
That's right. I'm dropping her off at the airport, and then I've got the place for free. I can go crazy.
Well, I was going to say, you could create some sort of good backstory to her dropping her off because she did this to me because, anyway.
Are you kidding? With all the crime that's going on? I don't think so.
I hear you. Speaking of crimes and these gun shooting in Georgia, it's funny. I'm not going to say it's funny because the AP might take me out of context.
Oh, I know. I hear you, man.
I think it's funny. Funny, strange. It reminded me of the school shootings in Connecticut. I can't remember the city top of my head, but where the mother had a son that had challenges, and she knew that he had challenges, Adam Lanza, and she went out and decided to show him how to shoot weapons and take him to a gun range and basically train him how to how to use a weapon, and then obviously his mental illness kicked in, and he went and killed a bunch of little kids.
And what charges were leveled against the mother?
I don't think there were any. Someone else might know better than me. I don't think there were any.
I don't think there were any.
But the father, and who was living in New York City with the other son, apparently, knew that this was happening, and sort of was telling her that this is crazy. You don't want to get him around a gun. And of course, he killed her first in bed, and then he went off to the school. So that's why she didn't get charged. She was killed. There you go.
I shouldn't laugh about that, but yes, and you're
you don't want
absolutely
the AP
correct.
to pick up
She
on
was numero uno.
Right. Yeah, you don't want the AP to pick up on your lap because they might misinterpret it. But I with this father and this situation, I'm glad that they're going through the steps of charging. I don't know. There's enough laws that you could put together that would probably get him into jail. You're not supposed to have, ammo under 16. And he provided this stuff for the kid. I don't.
But
think
wasn't the gun under lock and key?
No, I don't know that was the case either. I mean, I don't know enough about the details, but when I was hearing that he went out and bought this weapon for Christmas with a 14-year-old. Now, my dad bought me a Winchester 94 for deer hunting when I was 14. It hung in the gun rack, and my dad sat down with me, and we went through, all the discussions about the gun and how to use it safely, when to use it, which was never in our neighborhood or anywhere else. And that was just a given at that point. And the same with going out. He had a shop with power tools, not just hand tools, but he had, a really nice shop with a lathe and a bandsaw and a table saw. And he walked out and turned them all on, and we just stood there, and he just talked to me about the fact that, these tools are like animals, and they're going to reach out, and they want to get you. So you have to kind of 100% pay attention before you start off. But I always used the tools as a kid, and never had count my fingers. Everything's there.
And I'm sure there are kids that will go into daddy or mommy's shop and use those tools without any problem. I don't think there are laws against buying a gun for a 14-year-old. Now, if he had unfettered access to the gun, now I think there's something to talk about. I'm not trying to. I guess I want to walk slowly on this, but at the same time, I'm thinking there's that case out of Michigan pretty much opened up the door for the authorities down in Georgia to charge the father. And I'm not quite sure that we have anything replicable to what happened up in Michigan.
Yeah, and those are different laws in Michigan, of course. But the only final thing I wanted to comment on it is, if there are manifestos, if there are writings, if there are profiles as to how this happened, I really detest the fact that whatever part of the government, whether it's the FBI or whoever, hides all of those things from people. I think the more that we see what's in somebody's head or what the person's motivation is, you start to wonder, are we doing enough for mental illness? And, should we be dealing with it? Like the transgender shooter down in Tennessee, they've held that manifesto back. It got leaked. I think last week it got leaked, and you could see that there were some serious issues. And but I think that the people in the United States are mature enough to handle this stuff. And hiding it doesn't. It
doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yep. No, it doesn't help. But at the same time, isn't that supposed to be secretive information? We have school systems that basically tell the authorities that they're not allowed to drop that information. I don't know who doesn't know who is a transgender, by the way that one dresses or whatnot. Of course, they could always, change clothes as they head home. But I think that stuff is already out there.
Well, that manifesto itself was something that was developed over time.
Yeah, the manifesto in and of itself, no, but the about the person enough to let that information come out, that manifesto information.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with the FBI going to this house after a year ago with information about that this person is a threat, how does the father not apparently they have, I saw like a videotape of where they were interviewing the father back a year ago. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I always, my kid's like this, he seems to be normal at home, but we're going to take it seriously. Yeah. Less than a year later, you buy the guy an AR-15. And I mean, so that alone probably should have the father arrested.
Are we talking about the Georgia case now?
Georgia, yeah. Georgia.
Well, but again, we're here. We're not down south where guns are more prevalent. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about the case to automatically get on the file. The one thing that I've gotten out of the school shooting yesterday in Maryland, the school shooting in Georgia, the kid bringing a gun into Waltham High School, and the threat at Dedham High School, all four squarely point to a school. And yet we always seem to look for another source of the problem, never thinking, never contemplating, never really looking at, could there be something going on within the schools?
Are you talking about psychologically with a kid, like bullies and things like that?
I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about any or everything, as opposed to, the father did something. How many times have you heard, even on this radio station, people saying, oh, it's the parents. How do we know? All these things are happening at school. How do we know it's only the parents? And I'm
not saying that.
Huh?
I'm not saying it's only the parents.
No, I'm not trying to say that you are, but there are plenty of other people that do.
Yeah.
All right, man. Gotcha.
All right.
I appreciate the call. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program today. I'm not trying to say that it is the schools, but the one thing that I learned from Thomas Sowell is that many of these incidents that do happen at schools, the schools, when I say the schools, I'm talking about teachers, staff, administrators, school boards, they like to point the finger at the family. And what I'm trying to get at here is, it might be the family, but you've got the school boards, you've got the teachers union. They won't allow a comprehensive study about what's going on in the schools to find out if just maybe something that they are teaching, some rule that they have put forward could be responsible for some of the mental health issues that could be going on. That's my thought. 508-996-0500. One more before the break. Hello.
Hey, Brian, what's going on?
Brian is.
Yes, he is. And you know what? He is right. And it was a great point that you just brought up in regards to these school shootings. Oh, these shootings. Why are they always targeted at schools? They're never at a mall for the most part.
Oh, they are. I mean, but when it comes to youth, they're looking at their peers.
I that's what I'm saying. Like it's never like a big deal with the malls. It's always pinpointed. There's a lot more school shootings than there are mall shootings or just plain out workplace shootings. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There is something in the schools that are causing these kids to get, triggered to the point where they're willing to do harm to their own peers that they grew up with over the past X amount of years. And you're 100% right. And I never even actually thought of it in that aspect. I did have a conspiracy theory, which I hate conspiracy theories, but I said, 2 school shootings within a week or two, right near an election again. It seems to happen. Why? It seems to always be prevalent right around an election period. We've seen that consistently throughout the last 10 years or so. It's within the year, I would say, of an election. And it kind of gins up this hatred toward guns, not the shooter, always guns. We need to do something about the guns. And then they'll end up pushing candidates that talk about anti-Second Amendment stuff. And that gives the left another talking point that they like to harp on. And that's
Are you blaming the left?
Oh, I always... Yeah,
I always do. I know you're going to say that.
Progressives always... progressives and Democrats are two different animals, in my opinion. Democrats are sensible. Progressives within the Democratic Party are not. But I do love...
What about progressives outside of the Democratic Party?
Well, there are progressives in the libertarian end that I detest also.
I don't know too many progressives within the Libertarian Party.
Well, I would say that they are extreme social liberals where they're completely open border type of progressive. That's what I say.
But that's not being a progressive. That's being constitutional. Gonna have to try to argue that one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try and argue that one because I don't believe straight open borders is constitutional. I believe that the Constitution set borders, and that we are to protect our borders. I mean, that's
I think that is a good idea to protect the border. I don't see it written up as such. And
probably up to
we had some bright-minded, of course, these same bright-minded people also thought it was a good idea to go forward with slavery. But be that as it may,
well, I actually that's a sticking point with me. I don't believe so. I believe there were certain states that did, but not as a whole. I don't believe the Constitution as a whole allowed slavery to the point where, or on an individual state level. Massachusetts, before we were even a country, outlawed slavery. So
no, after we became a country.
Absolutely not. That's incorrect.
1780.
Before the Constitution was ratified, I should say. The Constitution was ratified after Massachusetts freed slaves.
Supreme Court freed the slaves. State Supreme Judicial Court freed the slaves.
Yeah. So on a state by state basis, it's completely different. On a country as a whole basis, that's a completely different because you had two different factions, North and South kind of people. But anyway,
yeah, but you don't get a Constitution ratified without those folks in the South, and that's why the Constitution had at that particular time slavery as a right of the land. Thank you for your call. I want to thank SouthCoast Towing for allowing us to have the WBSM app for FREE free. I've got it on my phone, and I listen to the radio station quite often. So, SouthCoast Towing, thank you very much. 64 degrees in Dartmouth, 64 in Taunton, and 65 in New Bedford. Should tipped employees, we're talking about restaurant servers, should they be paid a minimum wage plus tips? Minimum